Hello and welcome to today's Tai Chi Tuesday, and those that are in classes will know what's going on here. Those that are not in classes will think I've gone loopy. And so I've got the camera positioned slightly different today so that you'll be able to see my feet a little easier and the floor. So it's cutting the top of my head off. That's not always a bad thing. And so let's get straight into this today. So we used the ladders this week to visualize stepping across your square. And you can do this, whether you're in a class or not, you can do it at home. If you've got square tiles in your kitchen, or you've got, you can grab one of these ladder things. They're quite long as well. If you can grab one of these on Amazon for I think it was $12.99 or something silly. And it sits flat on the floor, and these are all adjustable. And I've got a few laid out roughly to the same size. The idea is that when you've done your step, when you've completed your step, you'll be standing across your square diagonally like this, or you'll be standing across one of the squares. And your feet will be shoulder width apart, width-wise, this way. So if I was to just stand here in the corner of one of my squares, or at the end of one of my squares, and step straight forwards to the beginning of the next square, or the next rung of the ladder, I would be in the perfect bow stance. So my feet width-wise would be shoulder width apart, and I would have a comfortable length. The length that you choose is entirely up to you, because it all depends on what you're capable of doing. So if you've got hip or knee problems, or your balance is not very good, or you've got quite short legs, you're going to want quite a short distance lengthwise. The reason for that is that if you do a long distance, let's just say for instance I go more than 2 of these rungs and I take a very long distance, this is a lot further for me to then have to move my center and my whole body weight. So when I move my center back to turn my toes to take my next step, or to I've then got to bring my center, which is now on this back leg, all the way around. So I'm turning my toes, pointing my toes to, let's say that's 12, that's 3, 6 is behind me, 9 is there. So I was doing, I just unpart the horse's mane, and I've got to step up. The further I've got to then move my center, the better my balance has to be on this foot. Well, the better your balance has to be, and the better your strength has to be. So if by having a smaller step, if I just go one of those little rungs, the distance moving my center back to my right foot, the distance I then have to move that center from here over to my left is not as far. And it makes it easier. So less distance is easy. If you're looking for a challenge, then you can go more distance, and then it gets more difficult. So if you're younger, you're fit, and you want that bit of a challenge, or you want to build your legs up, then go for the longer distance. If you're setting up something like this and you've got something that's movable, or you use, you can even just use some gaffer tape on if you've got a hard floor of some sort, you can use some tape of some description, stick it to the floor in squares. And if you want or if you've got short legs, you're going to want less width than this as well, than on this ladder. So it's the only downside to these ladders is this week, the people who had short legs couldn't step all the way across. So they had to go maybe 3/4 or halfway because it was still too far across. So that was the only other downside to the ladder. But it still helped them visualise, and everybody this week found this really handy and useful. So each one of these squares is an individual square. So each one on its own is a square. And you begin by, if I do it the other way so you can see my feet. If I begin on this square, my feet are in the corner. So I'm beginning on this square and my feet are in line in the corner. Actually, I'll turn to, no I won't, I'm going to turn away from you. So if I'm turning that way towards my window, then my square is going to be towards the window. If I was going to turn towards you, then I would move along that square to the next rung and my square would be towards you. So I'm going to go back here and I'm in line and my square is that way towards the window. I move my centre over to my right foot and I step across. So remember, it's not stepping forward, and this is what I wanted to get this is the reason I used the ladder, to get you to visualise the fact that this foot has to go backwards, not forwards like that, but it has to go back across that square. So you're missing that whole square there and taking that across to the corner. You're moving the centre, lifting the heel, turning the foot, putting it down. And we didn't really get a chance to do this in the class because obviously there was lots of people, but if you get to do this at home, you can actually do several steps in a row, because you can then turn your toes, move the centre, and you can then actually take the next step. So you could then go across your square again because your foot's in the right place, pretty much. You could go across your square again to the next corner, move the centre, lift the heel and sink into your step. Then you can turn the toes, come up to your centre, and then you can do it again. Step across your square. I can't quite do it here because I haven't left enough room, but then you can turn your foot, sink into your step. So now if I do that towards you, so my 12 o'clock is there. So note that I'm now at the back of my square. My squares are now going that way. I'm stepping across. Lift up the back heel. Have that shoulder width distance. Turn. Step up. Then you're stepping across the square again. It's still on that side. And it really is just that visualization, stepping across that square diagonally. That's really what I wanted everyone to get this week. And it like I said, it did seem to help a lot of people. Lift the heel and turn. Turn the foot. And you see, when you turn that foot, you end up automatically at that back part of the square, keeping the knees bent. Step across your square again, and then turn. So if you can do something like this, because you can't see my feet anyway, if you can do something like this at home, set something up on the floor somehow, it's really useful to be able to do several in a row like that. And if maybe you could do 2 next to each other, you could maybe even change direction as well, maybe even do a bit of 10 form. You could start in the middle. Perhaps you could open feet either side. You could do your 10 form, step across your square, turn back, step across your square the other way, turn back, etc., etc. So you could use this. This would be a really good practice aid for things like 10 form. Not so much 24 because obviously it goes in a line, but and then a couple of other things came up this week with turning the feet. So there was a couple of people this week I noticed, if I go this way, once they stepped and they were turning on the heel, so they were lifting the toe and then turning on the heel like that, which is fine to do, but there can be a little bit more friction with that. It can be a bit more difficult and a bit more strain on the knee. But in terms of the step itself and what you end up with when you've finished your step, if you turn on the heel and bring the toes in, you actually end up with a less wide step. So you end up less than shoulder width apart. When you do your normal step, you lift the heel and push the heel out, you get that sort of perfect shoulder width apart. By bringing the toes in, you're shortening that width. And if you already haven't stepped across enough, and then you shorten that even more, you're going to end up in a very wobbly position. So just bear that in mind when you're doing your stepping, your rooted stepping. If you're stepping across, and just think about lifting the heel rather than lifting the toes. Also, in terms of body alignment, to be able to lift the toes, unless you're very good, quite often you're going to end up pushing the hips back to be able to lift the toes and bring them around. As soon as you push the hips back, changes the shape of the back. So apart from doing the stepping, we was also, in this last week or so, doing that section of 24 form that comes after the double wind to the ears. I'm just going to ditch the ladder, because I know that that is taking quite a while in the class. I'll do a very quick run over, like we did in the class, of that last part. It's not the last part, the bit after the double wind to the ears, just for you to have a little practice. And then in next week's video, we'll do that in a little bit more detail. So in next week's classes and the video, we are spending a lot more time on the transitions, where to put the hands, and moving between the movements of all this little tiny bit is very complicated. So let's go from, we've done the double wind to the ears, so that's going to be our 6 o'clock, because that's the easiest way to do it. So we've done our double wind to the ears. I'm going to come right into the corner here. Double wind to the ears to 1:30. I just said that was 6 o'clock, didn't I? That's not 6 o'clock, that's 12 o'clock. This is 1:30. Open the hands, move the centre back and turn to 9 o'clock. Move the centre back to the right foot. Keep the centre down the right, circle the hands. Left hand under the circle, and it's kick with the left heel. And then holding the hook, I'm just going to shuffle forward. And then we have the snake creeps through the grass, which you can do as long or as short as you like. I'll do it as a normal step for the moment. Try and keep your center down the right side for as long as possible. So pointing down and then across, keeping that front leg straight for as long as possible, moving across and then swapping the hands. Incidentally, the longer you do that step, the not the better it looks. That's probably not the right way of saying it. Anyway, we'll do more work on that. The right hand stays in the hook and just sits just relaxed behind the hip. Then you do your rooster stance on the left leg, and then you have to turn as you put your foot down to 3. Bring the left hand up and the right hand points to the right arm. The left arm, sorry. So you end up with a little dance there. That is the set 4 that I've made into the out of the 6 sets. And that then takes you into the next bit. But that's quite a short set because it is such a dance and trying to get all the transitions. So double wind to the ears. It's 1:30, 12 o'clock's that way. Turn, move the centre back, kick or step with the left heel, right hand in the hook, snake creeps through the grass, rooster stands on the left leg, right foot to 3, turn the left foot to 3, left hand in the hook. And the hardest bit here is remembering the hands, where to put the hands. Because what tends to happen is you do your rooster and everyone drops the hands. They end up like that and then they go, oh, that's got to be there. Or they do it the wrong way around. So I'm going to talk more on the transitions for that next week. And the dragon snake creeping through the grass, and my ability with words. Just thinking I'm going to do it at a different angle so that you can maybe follow it a little better. So now we'll have 12 o'clock that way. So I'll do my double wind to the ears to 1:30. Open hands, turn to 9. Kick or step, don't forget, you can do your step instead. Then snake creeps through the grass. Then rooster stands on the left leg. And then turning to 3. There. I'm just wondering, I might just do it one more direction. Let me think. 12 o'clock that way. So if we had double wind to the ears over here, there, open the hands, turn to 9, kick or step with the left. Form your hook. I'm going to have to shuffle forward a bit. Snake creeps through the grass. Rooster stands on the left leg. And then right foot goes down to 3, turn on the left. And that's getting ready for your next snake creeps through the grass. So we'll do a lot more on that next week. Bear in mind the ladder stuff. If you're in classes, we are going to do a lot more on, going to bring the ladders more regularly so that you can do some more stuff with that because, as I say, I think everyone found that quite helpful. And I shall see you all next week. There might be an extra video next week. I do believe that myself and Julie are going out this week, weather permitting. And we're going to film certainly the first half of 24 form for you. Maybe all of it, not sure. Not managing to do any follow Fridays at the moment because my garden is currently a building site, and the weather has not really been conducive to phones and equipment being outside. So yeah, I'll get to that as soon as the sun comes out. Anywho, I will. Thank you very much, and I will see you all in the week or next week. Thank you very much.
Reflections of the clouds above, the sound of rain along the pond. The grass that grows beneath my feet, I close my eyes, the hum of bees. I pluck the flower, violet green, lily of the valley.